Governance is about listening. Sounds very simple. Listening. The most difficult thing is listening, I tell you, when you have power. When you are holding power, and at that time to listen is different than when you are not having power and listening. Please understand this. In my recent book that I have written is In the Gym of Leadership. Like we go for physical exercise, you have to have a leadership gym in the sense that right from the early childhood, how do you develop values? Number two, how do you develop various traits of leadership? Like communication is so vital in leadership. I can tell you, I also studied in Hindi medium. When I was 10-year-old, I learned ABCD because in sixth class, those days, they were teaching ABCD. And since then, and some young boy commented to me in Delhi, what will you do in life? You don't know English. And it went so deep in me. That is the day I started, reading newspapers. Till today, that habit has gone. I have several diaries. I write good words. I write its uses. I write this. And eventually I became author. I have authored 8 books. So the point I'm saying is leadership have to be drilled right in the beginning. To give you an example, today do we need to go for leadership training to Harvard or MIT to learn what is credibility? Our mother, father taught us credibility. I remember that in good old days, early, my mother will sing some chopais from Ramcharitmanas, and one of them drilled into my mind. She used to sing Raghukul Reet Sada Chalai, Pran Jai Par Vachan Na Jai. Now, this was so much drilled that I thought, if I have made a promise, I have to fulfill it. Now, this was when, in the shaping, growing age, 10-year-old, 12-year-old. Now, you can't teach this thing to a 55-year-old man going for advanced management program in Harvard. And those people teaching you spirituality and Gita and all that. Point is, the leadership training has to go, not in the corporate leadership, I'm saying, but the leadership itself has to go right in the beginning. Now, so since then, and let me also share with you, it is not that you have to learn 100 skills of leadership. You learn 4 basic. It is like a nuclear fission. They're all connected. If you are credible, you are also authentic. You are also, in many ways, you have many other qualities are connected to being credible, that you can be trusted, that you are not in a popularity game. So leadership is like a nuclear fission. 4 main things that I have followed in my life is credibility first. Do people trust you? Or do they say he's a fake, he talks too much, does not deliver? Or if he has said anything, chodo, you can give trade discount to what he speaks. Sometimes, people make a lot of promises. And then they don't even reply to your phone. One is credibility. And with credibility, number of things are connected. For example, in the bank, 40,000 employees turn around. How do we do? I was very much concerned that the voice of the last person in a village, in a village branch of my, let us say, Nasik Taluka or Bihar or somewhere must be listened to. How do they do it? I started Chairman's Helpline, which is called Sampark. 40,000 employees could send me a mail or write to me a letter and a guaranteed 24-hour solution. So you don't bring commercial magic in turning around the bank. That is one part. Ultimately, banking is manipulation of money. You take deposit, you do advances, and this whole, it's euphemistically it is called management of money, but it is ultimately not management, but manipulation of money. So people are there. Once people have trust that our leader is on right line, we can reach out to him. You believe me, I have leadership code in this. One of my leadership code is that wisdom is in the field. In corporate office, your colleague keeps on telling you everything is wonderful. Because if it is not wonderful, it reflects on them. It is the field wisdom. So therefore, when I took over, 20 town halls I did. In each town hall, 500 to 1,000 people will come. And I will ask them, they were not telling forum, they were listening forums. So I said, tell me how we can do better. And I tell you, amazing solution, amazing problems people told, which my general managers and DGM, they were not aware, they were away from business. So point is, again, credibility, that reaching intense faith in the power of people. That you matter, my dear. Anil Khandelwal's come and go. I'm here for 3 years. You are going to be here for 30 years. You have a stake. Because in my career, I found nobody bothers about the front line. Nobody. People come, they give pontifications and sermons to people. You should do this. We expect you to do this thing. You are not giving your best. People don't want to listen all that crap. I was asking them that I have 3 years and I have dreams to build the bank. Tell me, can we do it? And if we can, how can we do it? So my major time was taking people on board. See, leadership is not a magic wand. You need very deep conviction. And your deep conviction comes from the kind of struggle you have. So more than spirituality, your struggle. And then, of course, frankly speaking, after retirement and during pandemic, I had from my friends lessons on Gita. And that helped me, connecting me to my struggle. Spirituality helped me I wish I had done it earlier. But the fact that you are spiritual from the very beginning can also help you, one. But in modern times, how many people are spirituals from the beginning? But I have found, and I think one of your hypotheses could be amongst many hypotheses. Do people who have undergone struggle in life make better leaders? You have to understand an earlier challenge, because this was a rather easier challenge to step into chairman position. The greatest challenge was that when one fine morning, I was deputy general manager, human resources, and all along human resource training, and my then chairman called me and he said, you have to go to banking operations. Now, this was being pushed by trade unions. Somehow they wanted me to be out of HR function because I was trying to connect employees with the bank, and unions thought employees are our sole proprietary concerns. They saw that this HRD messiah, he will demolish our... Anyway, and this chairman was a weak chairman who was very scared of trade unions. So he said, Khandelwal, you should go to operations. You can also become chairman. You are young enough. You are 44. And in public sector, you have still 16 years. You are DGM. I was stunned. I said, sir, I don't know banking and it's a very risky thing and I have no inherent interest in banking. The initial 2 years I was probationary officer, I had no interest in banking. No. It's not like that. If you can do PhD, you can learn banking. He threw a bait on me. Then I said, I don't know credit. It's so risky. From the next day, because I had to go only as a zonal manager in charge of 200 branches. I couldn't have gone as branch manager because I was senior enough. No. Do you know all these buggers? No, he used the word credit. They don't know anything, zonal managers. So don't worry. I will give you a small zone and we will help you. I came back confused, came back to my immediate boss, who was general manager personnel. He said, Khandelwal, there is a conspiracy against you. You better resign. You have academic background. You can get a job in some management institute. He was equally worried. But then I thought, what is our HRD? Learning to learn is the credo of HRD function. If I run away, that will send wrong message. Again, credibility issue hit me hard. And I will go to banking operations. I will learn, and ultimately 200 branches means couple of thousand people with whom I will work. That's my greatest strength. And I landed in Meerut, UP Western Zone, basically agriculture, this, that, all. So I knew that it's a tough task. You see, next day a customer comes to you, he's talking of his problems, and you can't. I was not all that Buddhu also, but then what I'm trying to say is, I was really not hands-on. I was never an accountant, never a branch manager, never a regional manager. It was suddenly, without training, to put you as pilot, hot seat on the pilot. Your only resource was co-pilot. So the point is, I went. And again, my seeking mandate from people. I first of all had meeting of different places of branch managers and asked them, how can, and authentic. I can't pretend I'm a zonal manager and I have all the wisdom. I say, my background, gentlemen. So how my background in human resource and your expertise in business and banking, we can make to help the bank grow. Now, before going, I asked a zonal manager, a friend of mine, how do we run a bank? He said, कुछ नहीं करने का है, आप जाइए, branch manager को fire करिए. How this is happening? Why this is happening? ये target नहीं, वो target नहीं. मैंने कहा, अच्छा ऐसा करते हैं. Anyway, I changed the narrative. I was asking them, what is your problem that you always wanted to? How can I help you? And Sunil, those days, one of the biggest problem in the bank was industrial relations problem. Trade unions will not allow them to function. Staff, restrictive practices. They said, we have this biggest problem. So I said, this is my biggest strength. I come from that field. So you delegate up this problem to me, you do business. Only thing is, this is my maiden, this thing. And collectively, you have to make me successful. The world is watching. And they have invested in my failure because they want HR man has failed. These people are talkers. And this they took and I took as a gauntlet. And rest is a history. You have to read, dare to read. Meerut, Kolkata. And in the very first operational assignment, I was promoted. All these people, what it is not, and don't mistake that it is all that easy talking to people and then they are coming on board. Not all that easy. I think HRD must be understood not only in terms of people, but also improving management processes. So when I went to branches, first of all, I visited most difficult branches. In the hills area where it took 16 hours to reach. When I reached, people were crying, "Sahab, yahan kabhi koi nahi aaya hai, aapke paap aaye hain, sahab." So what decision I take? That identified 10 such difficult areas where people can stay only for 1 year. I reduced from 3 years to 1 year. Compassion. I visited other rural branches. They will say, "Sahab, dekhiye, letter likha hai, yahan 42 degree 42 डिग्री टेम्परेचर रहता है, कूलर तक सैंक्शन नहीं किया रीजनल ऑफिस ने, इतनी कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंस चल रही है." So I will sanction it on the spot. I will note down regional officer name. I sent all these fellows who was trying to doing dadagiri from administrative offices, posted him in the branches. So there my toughness came. People said he's a no-nonsense leader, doesn't care for anyone. Go, beta, you are doing all this, come on. So people's trust. Here is a man who will really, and I tell you, whole lot of things we did together. Whole lot of things. Meerut was number 14th zone out of 15th in terms of business, very small thing. And I didn't do miracles. I only asked them that, look, here we don't have very big business. We have agriculture, savings. Can we become number one in the country in these two, in the Bank of Baroda? So that this, oh, Meerut has done it. We did it. So point is this, took up the challenge with the help of people, solved problems, looked into their problem, improved management processes. So the turnaround is not business acumen or commercial this thing. Whole lot of business managers are there who do it. So point is, a different style of management we have to practice. Sunil, people can do miracles if they want. Most of us do not operate at our 100% potential. Just imagine the clerks of a branch, why they should deploy there if they find nobody listens to them. So they come and they go, they earn there, and it's a public sector. You can't pay a penny more. You can't remove them. There are unions to defend them. So there's no incentive to work. And yet they work because they were made part of a movement. They were given a vision where the leader was sharing that I'm nobody without you.
Yeah.
We can't do anything. And we can all get away earning our salary without doing anything. Nothing will happen to all of us, including myself.
Yeah.
I can share with you that this glamour in leadership does not work. It works. When it falls, it goes below the ground. I feel sorry for Chanda Kochar. She's very intelligent woman. She did hard work, but then the limits of star leadership crossed the limits. That the more focus on personal branding, if people get more focus on personal branding among the 100 best, they run the Fortune magazine, this magazine, that magazine. So if you are now look at same ICICI Bank. As if today I have to remind myself, even as a banker, the name of the CEO. He is maintaining such a low profile. Ask yourself whether you know his name. You may be knowing because you are intelligent. But most people don't know. He is maintaining such a low profile, bank is growing. Now that may be, in fact, I want to be a little more visible than what he's. So what I'm saying, you have to create a balance. But if you say, go berserk with your popularity, if you go berserk with, because you have power to get your name printed every day. You know how our media works. They want clients like those who would like their name to be floating everywhere. All that you have to do is advertisements and this and that, keep them happy and all that. I maintained fairly reasonable profile because I wanted bank to be known, but always maintain the limits. Always maintain it. Their temptation. I really don't know, but there has been some failure somewhere. Both governance as well as personal leadership. See, governance and leadership are intertwined. They are two sides of a coin. If you are a good leader, there's a good governance. If you are a bad leader, the governance is faulted. So there are two sides of a coin. Because a lot of leaders have also destroyed the world. One of our teachers used to tell us that even donkeys live in Harvard. And a lot of people from Harvard, including this Enron chairman, was a Harvardian. Many people. So it's education is one thing, but convictions, This is the personal traits what I talk.
Yeah.
But leadership work, what is leadership work all about? Leadership work is problem solving. All these characteristics you may have, but you may be good enough to be a rishi. In organizations, finally, it should lead to problem solving, nothing else. You may have all these characteristics, but if you don't open your pen to take decisions, you are not a leader. Leadership is an action science. Leadership calls for action, positive action, decisive action, diagnosis, problem solving. Leadership is not a static thing that you are credible, you are this, but then your pen suffers from Parkinson's disease. You don't take decisions. Leadership is about your inner conviction as to what is the meaning that you attach to life. Let me also share with you, a majority of them succeed. So it's not that if you are ethical, if you are courageous, the chances of your isolation are much greater in the society. अरे तो किसी का काम नहीं करता है यार. Because यहाँ तो the moment you are appointed, 100 people appear from your village, from your caste, from your this, and then you have to, वो कहते हैं अरे वही आदमी है यार. So society expects you to be ethical, to be neutral. Your immediate neighborhood, your friend circle, others expect you to be dispensing favors. This is a dilemma, ethical dilemma. There is a Harvard professor, is no more, who wrote that innovator's dilemma, Christian Christianen, who wrote What You Want to Make of Your Life. And his course was very popular. That's the book with me. And I tell you, he was only saying that even when he was a Rhodes Scholar. I'm sure you know Rhodes Scholarship, that some selected people in the world, they go to Oxford. He said even there, among such rigorous schedule for studies, 1 hour daily in the night he spent on reflection. And that reflection gave him the meaning of life. That is leadership. Leadership is a responsibility. It is not about perquisites and you know, that you carry a card, chairman and managing director. I tell you often, I always knew that positions are temporary. So, as a leader, I have attended two dinners with Manmohan Singh ji, because when the foreign dignitaries from Fiji president and Uganda president came, we have branches there, so they invited us. Even there, I thought I am eating with Prime Minister and national heads. But Anil Khandelwal, you belong to Agra, that Bare Bhai ki gali. Never forget that. It is their prayers that you are here. And one day you will not be chairs. So always remember people. So it's your deepest amount of connection with your soil, with your people, with the people you have played in the childhood. I will give you a memorable incident. I was zonal manager in UP. And Agra was under my zone. So I visited Agra branch in my locality. And I recognized one person there, but I was not able to place him. So I asked branch manager, who's this person? Is he a customer? Is he an employee? He said he is one of our subordinate staff, peon. Suddenly talk out to me, is his name Girraj? I said, yes, sir. How do you know? I think that Girraj recognized me and he was trying to hide his face here. So I went to him. I put my hand. अरे गिर्राज तुम भूल गए यार, वो सतोलिया खेलते थे, गिट्टी फोड़, और तुमने ऐसी गेंद मारी थी, मुझे अभी भी दर्द हो रहा है. आई जस्ट वांटेड टू लिफ्ट हिम. एंड देन ही बैंड वाज टचिंग माय फीट. कहता है, यार तुम मेरे दोस्त हो. मैंने कहा, तुम मेरे भाई, ऐसा मत करो मेरे साथ बात. सो यू नो, दैट रिमाइंडेड मी, आई वुड हैव बीन ए गिरिराज but for the help and but for my own hard work. So that is what, when you are rooted to people, that then in the organization, in the larger context, you see people not as liabilities. You see people that you need to build them. Now that was my, I can tell you, but if you are asking me, what is it that made you a leader? I think my struggles made me a leader. And I would like researchers like you to explore this more. I don't think my education made me a leader. That helped me, but leadership was made by my struggles, by my mother and father, by the deficits of life. You know, compassion. Let us say today we write articles on compassion, research on compassion. Again, compassion comes. Have you experienced compassion? I'll give you another example. My father was working as, you know, euphemistically we call accountant, but actually a Munimji who was writing khata for a arms and ammunition firm. So I used to go to college from there. One day I was returning and I went to meet my father. So his employer was a very nice. He saw that this boy is not dressed properly for winter. So he called me and he wrote on a chit something. He said, "Bete, us dukaan pe jana tum." It was one of the best in Woolen. And that man said, "अरे पालीवाल जी ने ये भेजा है, आप बताओ बेटा, मुझे आपका कोट सीना है." I was really, no, that was the compassion I received. Now, you give me 100 lectures on compassion in the classroom and then say that X was compassionate in America, Y was compassionate in India, Z is a compassion leader. I have experienced compassion. During a struggle, you also experience hatred. But if you are a leadership material, you have option to return hate with hate, or again be compassionate to people who are exercising this. I'll give you an example. Now, why I'm giving examples? Not to show you what I haven't, but to really press certain points. That my basic hypothesis is what you experience makes you. In organizations, when you come to organization, I have written in my book, I have learned more from non-leaders than leaders. There are leaders, yes, I learned, but there are non-leaders. For example, one of our big boss, you send him any note, give him suggestion, he will write, "Are you teaching me?" Very toxic leader. Nobody went to him. Everyone kept quiet. I think I learned maximum from him how not to behave. Because he hurt me directly. Are you understanding what I'm saying? That no, I will never follow this man because I felt upset. I felt bad. He was denigrating everyone. So my take on leadership is, there are certain, if you have 4 qualities of leadership. 1, credibility. 2nd, character. That there are temptation. And still you do. I've resigned from 7 boards on ethical issues. Don't mistake, because it's my interview. I'm telling you, I need to avoid that. But that you must know that. Because I have never believed in doing something that I don't intensely believe in. On my website, one of the resignations widely reported by press is there. You can go through. Others I have not. So what I'm trying to say is, the character you must have. Because character will bring integrity, intellectual honesty, saying, doing it. Again connected to credibility. Because you don't have character, you can't have credibility. So it's like a, then third is courage. Can you stand up in guarding certain principles? There are temptations. You don't fight for everything. But I don't say that every time you take a baton of a challenge. No. There are some deep-rooted things you face. One example I have added in this book is that what was happening, that as a chairman of the bank, I was also be supposed to be chairman of all our foreign subsidiaries. So what happened, that our Hong Kong subsidiary, our board nominated me, which goes to Reserve Bank of India. Reserve Bank writes to that regulator. That regulator has some routine question. Is there any inquiry against the man? Is there any conviction? Now, against public sector people, daily letters of complaint goes. So Reserve Bank Deputy Governor phoned me, Khandelwal Saab, there is some complaint against you, and we know you are like Arun Shourie, your reputation is known to us, but till this complaint is disposed of, so you withdraw your application. But 2-3 days, I was very confused. I said it to myself, this is very funny situation. And so one or two colleagues of mine I shared, they said, सर क्या रखा है हांगकांग में, आप विड्रॉ कर लीजिए एप्लीकेशन, उसमें क्या रखा है. But I thought it to myself that if I'm not fit enough to be chairman of a subsidiary, I'm not good enough to be chairman of Bank of Baroda. And I went to Secretary Ministry of Finance, who is our Mr. Vinod Rai, who himself is a very decorated civil servant. And my opening dialogue with him, the Rai Saab, you have to remove me as Bank of Baroda chairman. He used to call me Dr. Saab out of respect. Dr. Saab, kya hua? I narrated this to him. If I'm not good enough to be. कहता अरे मेरे पास तो पब्लिक सेक्टर की डेली हर एक आदमी की कंप्लेंट आती है. I just tear it off and push it there. He phoned Reserve Bank Deputy Governor in my presence without telling I'm sitting. There was a lady, Udeshi, Madam Udeshi, but nice woman. They do their job. So he said, Madam Udeshi, Dr. Khandelwal called on me today and he came for his resignation from Bank of Baroda. What are you insisting this? So she said, no. So he said, I on that criteria, I have to remove all bank chairmen. Unions complain, ye complain, wo complain. And next day my permission came. But I fought for principles, integrity. No. So my point is, likewise, many examples. So courage. Then it is also connected to your integrity, credibility. So what I'm showing you, they are all connected. If you have 4 basic things, character, courage, credibility, character, credibility. One more I have mentioned, I'm forgetting.
The compassion you talked about.
Compassion. So there are 4. Now every leadership quality you can connect with. And I can proudly tell you, Sunil, I practice them, 4 of them. If not too extreme, but to give you an example of compassion, I was known, if you go and check my reputation, occasionally they used to go, he's an autocrat. In the work, I was non-compromising. My written policy was tough love, tough on performance, and love and compassion for people. And since our bank was, when I took over, was virtually run by trade unions, I had to totally deal with trade unions and they hated me like anything. But 3 years after, the same unions issued a circular to bank that finally Dr. Khandelwal's policy of tough love is vindicated. He was a messiah of employees. They wrote unions because 1,000 daily wage workers, last 15 years, nobody confirmed them. And their employment was in doldrums and other things. I confirmed them. Because I realized they are poor people. They come villages. All unions were surprised. They wrote, we took this case from several chairmen, nobody did. So my point is, work, yes, and I was tough, but always I thought, if I was one of those daily wage workers, how would I feel? So point is, I'm not an MBA from IIM, although I got faculty position in IIM Ahmedabad in 93. I couldn't go. Incidentally, I also did engineering. I left it because it never impressed me those days. So point is, leadership you learn in the school of life.
Yes.
In your organizations. There are daily leadership moments. We need to check. There are our colleagues who exercise amazing leadership sometimes. There are bosses who exercise amazing leadership, the way they talk, the way there are bosses who are toxic leaders. You also learn from them how not to. For me, I tell you, leadership, I've been on autopilot of leadership. Because I'm a learner. I had only one criteria. If there is a case of compassion, I will do. Suppose somebody has come from Agra or Khandelwal or somebody. I will not say just because you are from my caste, I'm this. No. If there is a case of compassion, I will do. So once you follow something, but if you simply say because you have power, किसी का कर दिया, किसी का नहीं किया, किसी का ये किया, this whimsical nature of leadership doesn't. I followed the path of compassion.